the city San Diego and the Gloria Madrano podcast. And I'm live tonight and I made it. um, if you notice, my hair is still wet. I'm trying to get ready for work and my other glasses, my cool glasses that I love, well, they broke. So I had to dig out these old ones. But I like these ones as well. Um, so these are my reading glasses. I feel like a dork. So, hence, this is the subject that we are on today, okay? Real time live broadcasts. That is what I am all about, okay? So most of the time, well, pretty much all the time, obviously, I'm a real live person, okay? I have real live setbacks, okay? Um, I am human. I have emotions. I have all of the emotions that humans have, okay? I sometimes I am, sometimes I am on point. Most of the time I'm on point because, I'm at that age now where I have full clarity, no fogginess, no brain fog, no none of that. And, so I have, I'm pretty sure about, what I want to do in life and how I want to live life, right? So, um, what I'm not sure about is the transition of makeup wearing when you start aging. So, I know lots of you are laughing, okay? But some of you women are not. I don't know if you ever watched that lady. Her name is Erica. She's so cool. She's one of my favorites out there as far as like, the makeup for the over 40s. And oh gosh, I don't know how old she is, but she looks very good. I want to say she's, late 40s, 40-ish, something like that. But my daughter is constantly sending me her makeup advice, right? From Erica. And I'm like, you know, like, you just did not do that to me. Hi, I see you there. And right. So Erica is the girl to go to if you're aging. If you don't know, I just turned 61. I'm 61. So when you get to a certain age, I think it was like when when I turned 50, I was like, how in the world do I put my makeup on anymore? Because it doesn't go on the same, right? Um, so I changed my whole makeup routine. This subject is not about makeup, but it is about being a real person, okay? So it is about the fact that, I'm a real person with real setbacks, with real life issues, okay? With all the emotions that come with all of that, okay? I am not an AI. AIs cannot replace us, okay? I know there's a lot of people that are afraid of all this AI stuff, right? But the fact of the matter is that it cannot replace human, okay? So I want to remind you of that. Also, there's a lot of like videos out there that are not like oh, they're meant to like distract us and scare us and stuff like that. And um the truth trackers or whatever they're called, our authenticity trackers and things, you know, track these videos down and find that, the information on that is not is not true information, right? Such as like stuff going on in the world and things, right? I lived overseas. I lived in England, and there's all this videos going on about, crazy stuff going on. I lived through the terrorists, the Irish terrorist attacks and things, um, car bombings all over London and all of that, walked through all of that. And hey, um, and, and it wasn't like what they show on the news. The news, of course, exaggerates everything. Um, sure, things were dangerous, and sure, I did have, friends, close friends that they just missed a bus that was bombed. Um, and they so happened to get off of the bus for whatever reason to use the restroom or, whatever, take a break, buy a tea or whatever. And that was the bus that, got bombed. But, and I hope I don't get blocked for all these words, but this is not what I come here to speak about. But what I'm talking about is being a real person. So what you're going to get from me is real time all the time. Okay. So I'm a live broadcaster, but I'm also trauma informed. Okay. So my background is in crisis and trauma, pastoral care and counseling, and I am a chaplain. That's what I do all the time, full time, all over the world. Okay. So I have done humanitarian work. I have done a lot of different things in my lifetime, and that's over 40 years of experience. So in those 40 years, I've seen a lot. Plus, I'm old now, if you don't know. So what I want to talk to you about today, and we're on the topic of grieving, but grieving in all of that also comes with when you start to age and you start to change. Okay, you start to see yourself and you're like, hey, like, I don't look the same. My makeup doesn't go on the same, which you could tell that I don't wear a whole lot of makeup anyway. but to be honest, I was running late because like tried some new eyeliner. Okay, I did not listen to Erica's advice. Erica, the lady that is the professional makeup artist who talks about aging and makeup. Okay, Erica, homegirl. Yeah, I didn't listen to your advice, and I bought some eyeliner that didn't go on good on my eyes. Okay, I don't know. I don't normally wear black eyeliner anymore. I'm wearing it right now. Can you see? Yeah, yeah. I don't wear that color anymore, but I wore it tonight. Don't know why I did that. I just don't know. Don't even ask, but I did. We're not doing that again, okay? We're not doing that again. We'll go back to my other eyeliner that I love. It's really good. So anyway, what I want to say to you is that what I'm finding all over the internet, and which is not cool with me because we don't do that here, is the dehumanization of leaders and pastors and people like that. Okay. So, and pastors and leaders do that to each other. They do that to each other. We find that somebody is fallen off, they've fallen from grace, they call it, fallen from the pulpit or whatever they want to announce all over social media. And yes, some of it is not okay. And I don't, some of it is criminal, and they got their punishment. So I'm not saying that, it's okay for people to do what they do, but it's not okay to dehumanize people as though they're exempt from the hardships of life, or they're exempt from falling into sin. Okay. Sin is sin. It doesn't measure in God, but it is, sin is there are different consequences. Okay. But sin is sin. We all sin. Okay. You may say, you only have to ask for forgiveness once. I don't know about you, but I got to ask for forgiveness a lot of times, okay? Um, and I feel good about that, so I'm gonna keep doing that. Um, so everybody has their own like little theologies that they go on. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that's okay, right? But if you feel like, because there are some people that say once saved, always saved, and all this stuff. But if you feel like you need to talk to God, you know, and get right with Him, then do that. So, that your relationship, like no one can tell me the what I need to do with me and my child, right? Or a spouse or whatever that might be. I'm not married, so I don't have that. But like, if somebody came up and they're like, "Well, you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that, and this is what helps, causes intimacy and stuff," and I'm like, you're not in my intimate zone. So like I don't give you permission to, speak that. So you have to find um the intimate way that you have a relationship with God and whoever you are in relationship with, right? So and it's different because he's a living God and you're a living being. You're not like a dehumanized person that has to be like conformed to this mold, right? So we're all different. We all have different personalities and ways that we live life, culturally and everything. So like, so I want to, I'm speaking out today to, say, hey, stop the dehumanization of pastors and leaders. Stop doing that to us, to them, to us, because the bottom line is that we're all just human, okay? You might go on to somebody else's page and they might have, spooky, doves and all of this, and then you're like, woo, if only I could be there in person with them and have them pray for me, I will be healed for sure. Okay, and you're making them a god, and they're not God. Okay, not only that, but they might be thinking that they're God as well. Because people get like that, they get crazy like that. And I don't know anyone that is doing that. Personally, I don't. Most of the people that I know are pretty sound, pretty awesome, people who speak the word of God. But, I have to say that no one is exempt. So, like, what you're going to get from me is you're going to get real life stories of real people, my own personal stories and stories that I share that are about people that I've worked with or, helped out or, people like that, that I don't name their names and I keep their names private. You don't know who they are. And I don't share like the whole details, but I will share, some aspects of how they got healed, how they got well. And most of it comes from just talking it out. Most of it, most of the time that I was working with people and they felt better or they got healed, you know, um, there are stories of people that, prayed 24 hours and this and that, um, you know, and that is true. But most of the people that I worked with, there was no 24-hour prayer. It was just sitting down with someone, um, while at the time when they were ready for the change. And they said, I'm ready. I'm done for the change. I want to give this up. Okay. And, there are lots of things that happen in that time. Sometimes people throw up. Sometimes people have stomach aches. Sometimes people, they need a drink of water. Sometimes, it's just all kinds of different things that people go through. Sometimes they have a headache for a minute and then it just suddenly goes away. But the behavioral parts of it, that takes a lifetime. Okay. The behavioral parts of change are just living out every day with the idea that you are living by grace, filled with what God, believing God, in his word and what it says about you. And it says that you are loved, you are forgiven. If you ask Jesus Christ to come into your heart, you're loved and you're forgiven. Um, and, and the biggest part of our lives is the process. And part of that process is grief. We can't escape grief. Okay. I know that people, like, they want to, they tried to, and it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. I agree. I agree. It hurts a lot. Okay. And we can't escape it. Like, we have to go through it, feel it, deal with it, and just know that you're going to be okay. It's emotions that are flooding you, thought, your thought life. We have to keep that in check because your thoughts are going to be going all over the place, you know. And I can share with you this, that, like, I've had times when my thoughts were going all over the place. Nobody loves me, and why are you doing this to me, God? This really, really hurts. I don't get it. It's not fair. I served you. Like, what do I don't have anything to pay back to God to make him, treat me, you know, you know, to make things magically happen. That's not how it works. That's not how we live our life out. Um, if I want to have a good job and make good money, then I got to work for it, learn it, and do the thing, you know? But planning it out for ages and ages and, days and days and months and years, and then not deploy, you're not going to get anywhere. But have a dream. That's it. Dreams are meant to be dreamt, planned out, and then deployed. Do the thing. Do the thing. We learn by doing what it is that wherever we want to get to do that, right? And sometimes we're on the subject of grief, and that means that, it's like when I made a wrong turn the other night and I was upset with God. This was what was it, on Friday night? I think it was on Friday night. And I said, God, my one car broke down, got a new one. That car broke down. Like, it's taking a lot of money out of me. Uh, you know, um, and when I go home tonight, please, just like, my check engine light is on and I just want to get home. Like, my phone is broken, I think, because it's not recharging right now. So I don't have a phone to call anyone if I break down. So please just get me home. And I'm upset with God, like, literally upset. Like, I'm like, why? Why are you doing this to me? And then what do we see? What do I run into on the freeway? Dead stop traffic. I have nowhere to go. There's no exit next to me. I have to sit in that traffic, full stop, and think about what I just said to God. And I said, God, I know what I just said. Can I just be human today? Okay. And then that is where the message of dehumanization started to come to my mind. Okay. And I started to realize how people dehumanize pastors and leaders. We dehumanize parents. we dehumanize them as though they're wicked and bad and they made these choices and they're doing this just to be hateful and narcissistic to me personally. you know and might not be the case. The case might be that this parent might want to take care of their own child. They may want to, have their own way that they raise the child. They may want to feel like they're a good parent. They may want to, have, I've dealt with this a lot, like throughout the years, many, many years of this. And the best way to approach something like that is to come alongside of people, and not be the threat. Because when we're the threat, we're the bully. Because we're big. We have the voice. We have the platform. We're leaders. We're big bad leaders, and we can, with a phone call someone and, get them to do what we would like them to do. And that's threatening. It's threatening to people. Okay. And it's being a bully, especially when you have the power to do something like that. Okay. There are many times when I said, ooh, I have the power. I could take you down in 2 seconds flat. Okay. My mouth, I'm quiet and I could be kind of shy, but this mouth can be real sharp. It could be real sharp with people that have, got on my last nerve and I feel like threatened by them. They've hurt me, they've hurt my feelings. They've really deeply wounded me. They've taken away something from me, and I feel like I have the right to do something about it. The best thing to do is to stop yourself. Stop yourself. Okay. There are times when, you gotta do something about things, you gotta, there was this one time where I was literally physically assaulted by a pastor. Physically assaulted. Okay. And, I'm a pastor as well. And it was a stranger. So if you're following me and you know me, it's nobody that no one that because people are like, oh, who is it? Was it this person? No, it was no one that It was a stranger. I didn't know this person. I was, just doing my job, minding my own business. And they decided that they wanted to have a bad day on me. And they assaulted me. Okay. And I had to go to court. Okay. And it was more of, it was an inconvenience and everything. I wanted to retaliate. Yes, of course, and the thing that he kept saying, it was a he. Yes, it was a he, a man who was about 40 years old when I was about 55 years old. And he kept saying, she ain't afraid. She ain't afraid. Because he thought that I wasn't afraid, because I'm usually pretty calm under big, scary stuff. But that's the trauma within me and how I grew up. So, that's the way that I am. That's the way that I approach things. But because I wasn't flinching and stuff, and he was, he went to go and hit me, pretending like he was going to hit me and stuff. And then he finally he left and then came back, and then he really assaulted me. And then had to go to court. And, in the court, he was I just sat quietly, and he displayed all of the behavior of what I put in my statement. He displayed that in court. So the judge was seeing what he was doing. I didn't really have to say anything. I didn't have to prove anything. I didn't have to do anything. But I made one statement to him. And asked the judge, may I say something? And he said, um, um, the guy who assaulted me said, no, she can't come out of the statement that she already made or whatever, something. And then the judge says, I'll be the judge of that. And it was funny. I wanted to laugh at that point, but I said, thank you. And I said, I looked at the guy dead in his eyes, and I said, no one is trying to do anything to you. No one's trying to do anything to you. That's it. And the guy, he kind of like was taken back a bit, got a bit emotional, and then he went back into his, thing that he did, his animations, and then, describing stuff, and, just, it was just bad. And so, yes, sometimes you have to, it wasn't kind of like that I was retaliating. I was forced to go to court to defend myself in this situation. So, sometimes we have to do that, but this wasn't like a situation where, I was, I was trying to, push my power. He was trying to push his power over me, is what he was trying to do. So, in this subject, what I'm trying to show to you is that we have dehumanized pastors and leaders so much so that when they are human, when they have emotions, when they have issues, when they flip out, when they do bad things, we think that this is shocking. I'm so shocked. I'm so ashamed of you. Shame on you. You're just like, no, shame on you. Like, no one told you to dehumanize me. I'm just a human, and, I might not do things right or correct or, anything like that. So, I would like us to learn this, and, instead of being so in shock, pray for people, like pray for them, the world is having issues right now. And instead of attacking, church leaders and people like that, we need to put our energy into how can we be better at helping and caring for others. How can we be better at that? And also, when people do mess up, and they had a bad day, a bad year, or a bad time that caused them to lose everything or whatever it is that they did, sometimes that happens. It's going to happen. It's not going to be the first time it's going to happen. I remember telling someone that because, I was a pastor, and some downright dirty things happened to me, and they were saying, and you cussed? And I said, yeah. You said the F word? I said, yeah. And if something like that happens to me again, you better believe I'm probably going to say it again. Okay? So me, yes, me, the Gloria that you see here, coming weekly, sharing biblical truths. Yes, I'm human, and somebody did me dirty. They betrayed me, okay? Obviously, I'm divorced, okay? I'm not married. So, like, um, you can only imagine the hurt and the devastation that I had to go through, okay? And yeah, I had to tell people, don't sit there and dehumanize me. Don't do that to me, okay? And I'm sassy. I don't speak, like I'm quiet, but when it is like when somebody comes at me like that and you, oh my God, and you said the F word, you know, and I'm like, and you eat donuts and you're like, 300 pounds overweight. You know, that's a sin. It's a sin. It's gluttony. So, yeah, anyway, number 8 of our grief lessons. Okay, last week was, why do I feel affected by the death of someone I did not personally know? And we talked about that. You got to go check out number 7, okay? Number 8 is today, how does one talk to kids about death or grief? Be honest. Be straight, okay? When I was going through my stuff, my divorce, all the things as a pastor, leading a church, I had to be straight, okay? At first, I didn't know what the heck was happening. I didn't know what was I had some hunches, had some, things, and then, people were saying, "Oh, don't investigate." But hey, that stuff comes out, and it accidentally came out, and I overheard when it did come out, and and I had to take it. I had to take it. I had to. I don't know how else to tell you. I had to take it and deal with it and talk to the kids straight. This is what's happening. And we all grieved in all of our different ways. We all are still healing in all of our different ways. Okay. And thankfully, my kids are all, married, and that last one is getting married, and they all have wonderful, beautiful spouses. They're all serving the Lord in beautiful, wonderful ways. Like grateful for that. And I think it has a lot to do with me being not mean. I never talked smack. I never did anything. I didn't need to do it. Just let it happen. Let it happen. I didn't retaliate. I didn't do any of that. I could have went to court. I could have got, what is it called? Alimony. I could have definitely got that for sure. No, didn't do any of that. Just let it go. Let it go, because those people, they're sick. Okay. They have to live that out already. They have enough on their plate, I'm sure. While look at me, my car might be my check engine light might be on, and I was having, again, I shared the story that, I was scared. My phone was broken, and I was driving, the traffic stopped, and then I had to sit there for about a good 30 minutes. It stopped, and then finally it started moving. Got home safely and everything. Had myself a burger, and In-N-Out Burger was still open, and made it home, and and I was just like, oh man, thank goodness. And my phone recharged. I had to do the reset button thing on it, and it's fine. But you know, God does things to make us think. Don't worry. It's like he's saying, don't worry. If the traffic stops, you're going to be okay. Okay. One of my first car broke down. It was in the middle of this real dark road, and there was no lights anywhere because I live way out in, the foothills of the mountains. And one part of the freeway, there's no lights. It's like, it's kind of rural. And my car broke down right there. And what was the thing that I was thinking of the most? I wasn't thinking about, somebody kidnapping me or any of those things. No, I was thinking the newspaper headlines are going to say, that girl from Gloria Madrano TV and the Gloria Madrano podcast, founder of Heart of the City, San Diego, her car broke down, and as she was walking along for civilization, a mountain lion ate her. That's what I thought my headline was going to say. I was more scared of the mountain lion than I was anything else, okay? But no, the highway patrol came and I was safe. Okay. Then the tow truck came. And how does one talk to kids about death or grief? Because grief is a lot of different things. Okay. Grief is divorce, separation, disconnection with family is grief. You'll go through grief. Grief is also death. When people die, your loved ones, whoever that might, it could even be your favorite music artist. Again, I was talking about that last week, and you feel it. You feel it. So it's suggesting here to, read children's books about it and watch children's videos about it and things like that, seek religious guidance and things, prayer and things like that. So, in my family, we did all of that, my mom, my mom was the sweetest little lady. You see her in some of my videos here. She's so sweet, everyone calls her from the whole Barrio Logan, on her street. They all know her, and, they call her Granny Goose. Everyone calls her, we all have nicknames. We have to have nicknames in our family. It's our Native American background. I don't know what it is, but her nickname, and all the kids call her Granny Goose. Okay. She's the goose to everyone. Okay. And she's the granny to everyone. No one really knows her real name. Hey, Granny. Some stranger down the street. Hey, Granny. And so I think it's the funniest, cutest thing ever. And she's so sweet and cute and kind and dances. And she's just the cutest, thing. But when I was going through my divorce and I was grieving the loss of so many things, the transition from one country to another country, back home to my home country, the loss of a whole marriage, family disconnection, all kinds of things. I didn't know if I was going to make it through that. Me, the Gloria Madrano. I didn't think I was going to make it. I fell on the floor in this little house that I rented down around the corner from my mom. And I was like in the hallway area that goes from the kitchen to the living front area of the house. And my mom was over there every day, hanging out there every day, just sweeping stuff that didn't need to be swept. I don't know what she was doing, just fiddling. And there she comes, and she says, I'm on the floor and I'm crying, and I'm crying with so much pain. There's so much pain. And I'm crying and I can't even breathe. I'm crying so hard. And the pain, she didn't like to see that much pain come out of me because I'm a real strong girl. And it was with torture, the pain. And she looks at me and she was pissed off, okay? She was mad. And I don't see her like that, okay? And she said, "You listen to me right now, Gloria." She never calls me Gloria. She never calls me Gloria, okay? I have a nickname. I have a nickname. And when I hear Gloria, Gloria means you're in real trouble. I haven't heard Gloria since I was 13 years old, okay? She says, "You listen to me right now, Gloria Ann." And then she added the "and" in there. And I was like, ooh, she's real mad now. Because she added the Gloria Ann in there. Now she's going to say something. What's coming next? Because after that, there's usually a cuss word. Not even kidding. She said, "F this. F those people. This is not you. You're better than this. Get up off the floor right now. I didn't raise you like this. Get up off this floor right now." And she said, "F those people." I was in torture, in pain, and I wanted to laugh so bad. I wanted to laugh so bad. I loved that she said, I mean, I am sorry to all those people that she was saying F you to, which were my former pastors and all kinds of people. And she said, I mean, I'm seriously, I'm laughing because she said, I liked, okay, me, the Gloria Madrano. I liked that she said, "F those people." But she said the word, okay? And I said, dang, my mom is backing me up. She's my homegirl. She's got me. So I got up off the floor. I was like, dang, I can't even have a breakdown. You know, people don't even let me have a breakdown around here. Like, what's going like, you know? So I got up off the floor and I said, okay. You know, and it's like trying to, she's drink some water. And so she said, "Don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever." You know, and so she said, "I'm going to pull your hair out." Because that's what she used to say that when I was 13. "I'm going to pull your hair out if you do that again." So how, how does one talk to kids about death and grief? Be real. Just be real, you know, don't let them know that they're safe and protected, you know, but be real. Don't try to pretend like, you know, it's a, you know, I only seen my dad cry once. I've never seen him cry again after that. Just once, and that was when his own dad died. His own dad died. And he was sitting at the back, all the way at the back of the little service funeral home thing that we were at. The same one that we always go to, that everyone goes to in National City. And he was sitting at the back, and I was just little. I was maybe 5 or 6, but I remember. And it was telling my mom to keep the kids outside. He didn't want us to come inside to be in the funeral area because he didn't think kids should be a part of that and stuff. And so, you know, I went in, and then I seen him crying, and he said, "Get the kids out of here." And then I heard my mom say, "Oh, he's crying," you know. And so we left. I don't know where we went, but I don't remember that rest of it. But, you know, just be honest. Be honest with your kids. Sometimes it's confusing and frightening. I think I was frightened more that when my mom kept saying, "He's crying, he's crying." I was like, "Oh my God, my dad's crying," you know. You know, and so, but there was no talk of it after that. No other talk, nothing, you know, just bursts of emotions here and there. and so we didn't know what to do with our what to do with anything. So, um, and we have to teach kids how to deal with stuff through our own dealings with stuff. So, like, how do you deal with things, y you know, y and sometimes you don't know. It might be the first time that you've ever dealt with a parent who died, or something like that. And you have to, they don't know and you don't know. So it's a learning process. Sometimes you can involve, people, counselors and people like that, to help you to know what to talk about, to say or do. But like a lot of times, you're going to be in situations where you just don't know, you know, but the best thing to do is to let people know what you're going through, what you're feeling, how you're going to deal with it. And that everything is okay. You're just emotional, you're having a bad day or whatever, and it may be like that for a little while. And so, you know, there will be stages of that. So, okay. Um, Next week is number 9, and it is how can I cope with a crisis of faith or purpose following loss? Okay, I know about that too. Okay. um, and again, you know, we need to stop dehumanizing Christians. I get this people do this at work, they I'm so shocked. Why? Because I'm a Christian? You know, I'm not, I'm human. I am human and I have emotions. I make wrong choices. I do bad things. I do things good. I serve the Lord and I love God and I worship, like an angel. But, hey, I'm also human and I also can make bad choices and do bad things and, all those other things, depending on where I'm at. Help me to figure that out. Where are you at right now? You know, treat me like a human, like you would another different employee who isn't Christian. You know what I mean? Because I have emotions too. I go through things too, right? So, um, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you're exempt from the world and its issues and its sin and its, and its darkness and all the things that come with all of that. We may know some things biblically. Yes, we may have the ability to pray and we may have some hope, in overcoming obstacles and things. Yes, but we still feel it. We still go through it. And in that, sometimes there's not good choices when we're really emotionally going through something, you know. Stress can make people do weird things. I've seen it happen again and again and again. Crazy, weird things that people do when they're stressed, okay? Or they're in an emotional distress, you know, whether it be because of money, whether it be because of, other situations that are beyond their control or whatever. And all of that comes with consequences, just like it would anyone else. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you today. I'm not saying that it's okay for people to be like that, or make bad choices or do bad things or whatever. What I'm saying is that, don't dehumanize people just because they're Christian or they're a pastor or whatever. And if they make those bad choices, they're gonna have to reap the consequences just like anyone else, whether it be, that they go to jail or, get in trouble or whatever it is that they have to do. They'll have to deal with the consequences of that. And, you know, and all of that is just nothing wrong with any of that. But, you know, it's what how we take it, and how we kind of put them on this, you know, again, we treat people, humans, like if they're God, like if they're, like again, like we look at people with these beautiful YouTube pages and stuff, and they got angels flying around, and they're really good with their videoing, and then when they talk like they're echoing, theatrical and everything. But they're just humans. They're just human. They're good at tech and, doing videography, but they're just human, and, they have the ability to make mistakes, you know. And so we can't, even if they're doing good, we can't dehumanize them. We have to see them as, hey, that's a great video. I like what you're saying, but we can't like worship them as though they're God, you know? Um, and so that's what I'm trying to say. I hope that that's coming across good. I hope that you're understanding what I'm saying, and I see you all there. I love you guys. um, so yeah. All right. All right. I'm gonna go for now. So that's what you're gonna get here, is you're gonna get real time, um, and you're gonna get a live broadcast. That's what I do, okay? Um, and so, and like again, I was late. My hair is, not dry yet. So it's trying to dry. All right. Father, I just pray for all of those who tuned in today. I pray for peace. I pray for healing for those, who are torn, who are going through grief. I pray for, the for hope to be revived within their hearts and minds. And I pray, Lord, that we are better at caring for people, that we become, that we don't put people on pedestals and worship them as though that they're God. That's dehumanizing a person. Or that we, hate them so bad because they've made a mistake, or judge them so harshly because they've made a mistake. That's also dehumanizing. So I pray that we find the ability to, just see people as people, just human, whether they have a faith or they don't have a faith, okay? But I am praying for people to find and know God, to find and know Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior, because we need something bigger than ourselves, bigger than our humanity. So I pray for that in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go for now. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. It's always nice. I'll see you next week. And I love you guys. Bye.